Welcome to the Great Empire Experiment, where Minecraft players are scattered around a massive 18,000 by 8,000 block world to survive and build civilization. They end up making massive buildings where they discuss politics and peace treaties. They create fortifications to defend their great nations. This is a story of peace, war, and betrayal. I present to you Before we begin, I'd like to thank Ayers name, Magic Gum, Ish, and JJK03 for inspiring my video. Day 1 started like most other SMPs. People were cutting down trees, gathering resources. However, they were also looking for structures to reside in. Some people had already started looting them and then started to discuss their game plan.
Is PvP on? No.
Others were escaping spawn to find other people.
Fuck's sakes, man! Gotta fucking run. Huh.
A few teams had already started to form. On a small cross island, players consisting of Larskin, General Skywalker, Adazos, and Ayers had discovered a dwarf kingdom and had a little encounter with the warden.
He summoned it! He summoned it!
I have food.
Just run. I have tons of iron.
Run! We have all the stuff. We have so much stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But here, let's get food and we'll regroup and wait for it to be
That's
small.
someone else's problem. That's someone else's problem.
Okay,
No.
get over here.
I think he's lying.
Let's trust him. Why not?
Meanwhile, in a thick, dense jungle, players had started to exploit the locals. Yeah, it's your average SMP stuff. Nothing else interesting was happening in jungle, this is just something important. In the central island, one more political entity had formed. They had gone by the name Penrith. Currently only having 2 players, Hurricane and Polar Paddlepie, they had decided to reside in a fortress they had discovered. One of its members had made religion and was dying to make a church. At the end of day 1, groups of players had formed. Here, and also here. These groups consist of about 1 to 4 players. Day 2 started with Penrith gathering 2 more players to the ranks, Bro the Bruh and Taekwon. They also finished their church. Going back north, the first death of the event had taken place. One of the players listened before, Ayers had been killed by a creeper, which his team kinda just laughed at. Another thing had transpired at the Dwarven Kingdom, an election. The winner of the election would be given a crown that gives the person wearing it an extra 50 hearts.
Among this group, and I'm the best PvPer here with
In the closet.
And I may have only known that I was gonna run 10 minutes ago.
Want to know? I'm funny, I make a lot of jokes, and I'm not the world's worst at PvP.
The player, Largekin, had won this election.
obviously a joke. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
come on, get it.
It was here where they united under a single banner. Going back to Penrith, the player Hurricane had won its election.
I'm sure we shouldn't really need to continue much further with this vote, as I am already king of Penrith.
Going back to the Ices, which were no longer in the snow biome, as they had started to migrate to a village which they had found to make their home. They also made a villager breeder. This would become very important later. By the end of day 2, there had been 2 teams, Penrith and the Ayers. Do you remember the people from the jungle? Well, at the start of day 3, they had started to relocate to a massive structure they had discovered. They quickly gathered members and started an election. In this election, 2 players won, Ganello and Max Stampy, so they split the crown in 2. This marked the beginning of the Bread team. They quickly made an alliance with Penrith. Midway through day 3, war had started. The Ayers, believing that Penrith were forcing its members to join through means of force, had declared war on them. Penrith, who only had 3 players online, had called for the Bread team's help. From there, there was a race for Penrith. Thankfully, the Bread team made it to Penrith first.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my allies.
Okay, so what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
It didn't take long for the Ayers to show up.
Comment terrorist because it's funny.
Oh
Do you guys want to
my-
tell the ass? Holy shit!
However, they didn't
Keep going.
attack the Bread team. In fact, the Bread team seemed thankful for their arrival. Why? Because Penrith had been double-crossed. The Bread team had been working with the Ayers the whole time. And so, with their combined forces, the battle of the Red Dragon had begun. Hurricane quickly went to hide. The sun rose on a fallen empire. Its leader left to rebuild once what was there. This wasn't the only thing happening at Penrith, however. Something much more interesting was happening. Penrith weren't the only ones to be betrayed on day 3. One of the members of the Ayers was still bloodthirsty. His name was Adriel. Adriel turned on the Bread team. The rest of the Ayers were confused with what was happening and quickly joined in with the fight and overpowered the Bread team till there was only one left, Ganello. Once Ganello got back to his base, he decided to trade the crown for Max Stampy's return. Day 4 started with more bloodlust, as Hurricane had survived the siege on his base. 2 players, Golden Knight and Adazos, had started the journey to Penrith once again, but this time, they weren't going to leave without Hurricane's head. It didn't take them long to finally get to Penrith. After finally defeating Penrith, the Ayers started brew potions. This would become very, very important later on. At the beginning of Day 5, the world seemed to be at peace. The bread team was even able to get more members than they had before. From there, they called for the Ayers, so they could merge their team, ensuring peace everywhere. When the Ayers arrived, one person on the bread team, it's Luke, had a plan to murder Golden Knight. This was the whole point of calling the Ayers to the bread team. The final battle for the world had begun. The battle ended as quickly as it started, with the remaining Ayers finally coming to terms with the bread team, and agreed to have one final election. They started to make structures out of diamond blocks, just to flex. After mucking around for a while, they finally did the election that would determine the leader of the world. The player Scanello won this election, and finally, after 2 days of betrayal and war, peace was restored to the world. This story may be over, but you can join the next one. That's right, you. Will you be able to make a difference? Do you believe you could cause a shift in the story? If you believe you can, go into the description and join the Discord. Applications are out right now, and I'll be hosting Season 2 in 5 days from posting this video.